Get ready for the biggest wave of the game. It's no mania, and the world will never be the same. Wrestling news, drama, it's all here. Tune in now, cause Noah's bringing the crew. From the ring to the screen, he's got the scoop. Breaking down WWE, Raw, the crew. SmackDown, AEW, the top spots to be. Noah Mania's the name, and the future you'll see. Hollywood buzz and the drama that's real. Noah's on fire and you'll feel the appeal. From the ring to the screen, he's got the scoop. Breaking down WWE, Raw, the crew. SmackDown, AEW, the top spots to be. Noah Mania's the name, and the future you'll see. Hollywood buzz and the drama that's real. Noah's on fire and you'll feel the appeal. Podcast, YouTube, where the stories unfold. He's got the content and it's pure gold. From the square circle to the red carpet bright, Noah Mania's rising and he's taking flight. A sexy encyclopedia, he's the king of internet media. Noah Mania's on the rise, watch him take control. The biggest name on YouTube, and he's on a roll. Wrestling drama on the world's trends. Tune in now, cause the fun never ends.
The fun never ends.
Got the vision, the heat of fire, climbing higher and higher. He's your empire, the biggest YouTuber. Watch him ignite. It's Noah Mania, turning up the light. He's dropping the truth. No
what is
holding
up,
back.
live
Every
chat?
wrestling move and every hot track. From the backstage gossip to the latest fight.
What's up, live chat? YouTube.com /Noah Mania. Why don't we bring the live chat into the show, shall we? There we go. Who's in the live chat? We got Teabag. Teabag Production. I won't miss this one. You better not miss this one. Okay, let me get rid of this theme song. How do I sound, live chat? Let me know. All right, no more theme song. We got Teabag. I won't miss this one. Mohammed Bill Hensign, I guess it's pronounced that way. Happy Saturday on a Saturday night. I wouldn't want to be wished a happy Saturday on any other night other than Saturday. Otherwise, I would want to drive to somebody's house and kick their ass for fooling me into thinking it was a Saturday night. I hope you're doing well, man, as well as your health, and same with everyone here in live chat. Thank you, Mohammed. April, holy fuckamole, April Williams is in the live chat. My homegirl. What is up to my homie G from South of the Gum Wrapper, April? How I've missed you. She writes, hello, I'm locked in and I loaded. Awesome. Hey, Nang. Fresh off a successful No Nut November. This theme song is a banger. Reminds me of the 2000s punk rock songs. And then Teabag said, Noah is the only Democrat I love. Aw, virtual hug. Hey, hope everyone is doing well. Then April said, I'm great. I clicked the like already. Awesome. I think you guys need to fucking spam the shit out of Ebar or Mike or something until they join. Actually, no, don't spam Mike. Spam Ebar. I didn't say T-bar. I said Ebar, just to be clear. How's it going, everyone? YouTube.com /Noah Mania. Welcome to the show. NXT Deadline wrapped up on the cock about an hour and 35 minutes ago. I watched it. I skipped AEW Collision, so I'm not going to talk about that. But we're going to talk about NXT Deadline. We are going to talk about SmackDown from last night. We'll talk about AEW Dynamite from Wednesday, because why not? And then got some wrestling news to talk about. Got some news. And then we'll see what the hell else is going on in the world. Hey, if you guys can get more people watching this show, I'll start doing phone calls again. Just saying. Happy to do it. I just need some incentive in the terms of viewership before I invest the money into a Skype number. I don't want it to be a big waste of money, you know? All right. Let's talk about NXT Deadline since that just wrapped up a little while ago. I'll start by saying that I freaking love the Minneapolis Armory. Freaking awesome wrestling venue. See, those are the kinds of venues that Tony Khan needs to be running in. For some reason, NXT and TNA got it figured out, and NXT could go into a 20,000 seat arena every week and sell it out. The Armory was a cool venue. The one thing that really caught my eye during the show was the fucking bar. So you could, by the looks of things, you could go to the bar for most of the show, get completely shit-faced, and be like 10 rows back from the ring. Coolest thing I've seen in a while was a bar that close to a WWE show. All right, I'm going to get rid of the live chat until there's some more action in there. Cool. All right, let's get to NXT Deadline, shall we? Let's just go through the matches. So show opened up with the men's Iron Survivor Challenge. And the winner determines the number one contender for the NXT Championship at NXT New Year's Evil. Ooh, New Year's Evil. Clever name, Sean. Clever name. Obafemi defeated Wesley, Javon Evans, Nathan Frazer, and Ethan Page in the 25-minute Iron Survivor Challenge. So if I understand the stipulations correctly, and forgive me if I don't get an exact detail right, 25 minutes total length of the match, and every 3 minutes they introduce someone new, and the person with the most pinfalls over the course of 25 minutes wins the match. So it's kind of like a bit of an Iron Man match, but involving, it's like an Iron Man, almost like a battle royale, or weird. It's odd, but the person with the most pins wins. But if you get pinned, you have to go to a penalty box for a minute and a half and be locked in a cage, which led to some amusement during the match. The men's match. Obafemi looks like a BAMF, looks like a badass motherfucker. And like, I don't know why, I just got like some Kimbo Slice vibes from him. Just badass. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. But I agree with the outcome of that match, although I don't agree with the gimmickness of it. Hey! Okay, what did A have to say? Hey, that rhymed. He wrote, I very much enjoyed the show. Also, yeah, the venue looked different, but cool too. I don't think NXT would sell out 20,000 seat arenas every week, though. They may get close some weeks. I don't think it would ever drop down to AEW levels, though. I just don't think it would. I think they would consistently do better because they wouldn't let it get to that point. But they're not going to, and it's wise that they don't. Oh, excuse me. All right, NXT Underground match. Lola Vice over Jaida Parker by submission. All right, this is where I got a bone to pick with this show. It was just a teeny tiny bit too gimmicky for me, for my taste. Just tiny bit too gimmicky. I mean, you had 2 of the Iron Survivor Challenge matches, and you had the NXT Underground match. You had a couple of normal matches during the show. But other than that, it was mostly gimmicky for my liking. So this underground match didn't do it for me. So they took the ring ropes off. They were trying to convince us that it was a shoot. And it was hokey. They could have had just a good regular wrestling match without having the gimmicks. They're both certainly talented enough, but I feel like taking the ropes off the ring, it didn't do anything for them. It just didn't. Okay. Well, I got to put this on the screen so that way it's clear who said it. A wrote, I doubt you're the only one who has a bone to pick with these women. You sick freak. Hey, these women are professionals, they're athletes, and they not only command respect, they demand it, sir. And how dare you objectify the women like that? Tony H. What is up, Mr. Tony H? He says, Mr. Noah, how are we doing this fine evening? Doing all right. Just taking the piss out of this this women's match the underground match where they took the ropes off. Teabag wrote in the live chat, change the ropes with the barbed wire Sabu style. And April Williams, I would like to see them in a parking lot match. How about this, April? How about inside Kevin Owens' rental car match? Where they just fight inside the rental car. That was fucking hilarious, by the way, that Michael Cole, Kevin Owens interview. We'll get to that in a little bit. I found it quite entertaining. What's good, buddy? You look like a suspect with a hoodie and glasses on, but I respect the look. No, I was not, for the record, I was not in New York City at all this week. I have an ironclad alibi. Witnesses. I wasn't there. Wasn't me. Never even been to New York City. Professional talented athletes can be considered hot too. And then April says, I can see that, Noah. Awesome. All right, let's get through the rest of NXT. Okay, so Lola Vice over Jaida Parker. Both great, talented athletes. I just didn't see the point in taking the ropes off the ring. That was kind of silly to me. Nathan Frazer and Axiom defeated the No Quarter Catch crew, Myles, Borne, and Tavion Heights by pinfall for the NXT Tag Team Championship. So Nathan Frazer and Axiom retained. Axiom continues to impress me week after week. He's someone that I would love to see work with Rey Mysterio. Oh, geez. I got to watch my language, because it's bad enough that YouTube will take away, they'll content ID flag if I do any fair use reviews of anything, but they'll catch I'm talking about something and then further bury the video. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit also. What's up, Matt Helms? What's good? What's good in Las Vegas? What's good in Vegas? All right. Then up next, we have the NXT Championship match. Let me do my best ring announcer. I still think I would make a great ring announcer in WWE. Let's consider this my tryout tape, and then y'all can spam WWE and let them give me a tryout as a ring announcer, or I'll even take a role as commentator. How about that? Let me get my announcing voice warmed up here. You ready? Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the NXT Championship. Making his way to the ring first, the challenger from Liver's Edge, West Yorkshire, England, weighing in at 260 pounds, Ridge Holland. And his opponent from Columbia, South Carolina, weighing in at 240 pounds, he is the NXT champion. And fuck him because he's a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, Trick Williams. And Trick Williams defeated Ridge Holland to retain, by the way. Yeah. I got too much time on my hands. All right, main event was the women's Iron Survivor Challenge match. This one determines the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship at New Year's Evil. Giulia defeated Sol Ruca, Stephanie Vaquer, Zaria, and Wren Sinclair. Talkman T, Trick is a badass. Let's see what the chat thought of my ring announcing skills. I need to turn up the echo. I don't think this microphone is set up to do me justice as a ring announcer. Plus, I can only yell so loud without disturbing the people above me and next to me. So I gotta watch it. I gotta watch my volume. Noah, is it true that you were a referee for a midget wrestling match? Yes, that actually is true. I wish I had video footage of it. One of the opponents was Short Sleeve Sampson, who I think he wrestled in a WWE match, because if you guys recall, in the early to mid 2000s, they had a stretch where Vince was amused by little people wrestlers. And so they did that, and I refereed the match. And the thing that pissed me off was I was embarrassed by the stupid ass ring announcer who botched the finish of the match, and the ring announcer ordered the bell. I was doing a 10 count. And when I got to 3, the ring announcer, who didn't know what the fuck she was doing because she was hooking up with one of the wrestlers. She was the wag. She was a wag of one of the wrestlers. And so the promoter let her play ring announcer. I would have done a far better job as ring announcer. Normally, this was an Outlaw Mud show, by the way, but they did have a cool regular ring announcer. The regular ring announcer was Michael Porter, who he ring announced a lot of the WWF house shows in Northern California in the late 80s, early 90s. Really nice guy. I got to know him pretty well. He was legit. He even had his old school WWF ring announcer jacket. Really cool to see. I wonder what happened to it after he passed away. Real sad. But anyway, no, I was doing the 10 count and the dumb girl rang the bell, and the guys, short sleeve, and I forget who his opponent were, they just gave her the look of death. They were so pissed off. A wrote in the live chat, she was a wag. Was she a, you know what, wag who was sleeping? No, this was a regular indie outlaw wrestling show that happened to feature a match with short sleeve Samson in it. And that's really his ring name. Look it up. I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on anyone. And for those of you that don't know, WAG stands for Wives and Girlfriends. For those of us that aren't in with the hip lingo like I am, because you know me, I'm so fucking cool. NXT was okay. It was good. The crowd was good. The venue was really cool. Noah, you'll make a great ring. Aw, thank you. Thank you. I don't think we're in any danger of that happening anytime soon. Trust me on that. All right, let me see what we got coming up here. Let's talk about AEW. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite. Once again, the narrow camera ain't like someone that knows a little bit about video production now and broadcasting. I've kind of studied it a little bit. I by no means consider myself an expert, so don't try to assume that I do. But I can tell when cameras are really set to focus on those real narrow angles, and they're trying very hard to hide the fact that the arena is over half empty. And they're doing that through a combination of really narrow camera angles and also shutting all the lights off in the building, other than the lights over maybe the first couple of rows that are facing the hard cam and the ring lights, of course. But the rest of the place is pitch black other than during entrances. So that's rather amusing to see. But let's talk the results of the show. Show opened up with Shelton Benjamin taking on Kyle Fletcher in a Blue League match for the Continental Classic. I gotta say, it's like I'm looking at Shelton Benjamin a lot differently these days. This motherfucker is a star, and they need to start presenting him as a star. Like, I could see him building himself up as in almost a similar way as a Cody Rhodes. Now, Cody Rhodes has a lot more charisma than Shelton Benjamin, but Shelton Benjamin's talented and he's got the look to be a star. And I think he is an awfully wasted talent. He's an underachiever in the business. Anyway, Kyle Fletcher over Shelton Benjamin. And that resulted, there was a little backstage thing where Shelton and fucking what's his name? Why am I having a Alzheimer's moment? I don't know why I'm having an Alzheimer's moment right now. Let me find my notes here. Hurt Syndicate. There we go. Hurt Syndicate. They had a little backstage thing where they were giving Shelton Benjamin a hard time. And then Shelton Benjamin and the rest of them ended up beating the shit out of some security guards, some pretend security guards. And then they were like, that's how this is done. like trying to chastise Shelton Benjamin for the loss. That was a little entertaining. We had Hook come out in his hoodie, call out Nick Wayne. Then Hook gets his ass kicked by Christian Cage. Christian Cage music hits, and then Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne end up attacking Hook from behind. So, there you go. Then we had a Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. And the winner of that Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal was Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. These gimmicky Battle Royals, I don't know. I feel like they're just a cheap, easy way to kill time with minimum producing, because not a lot goes into a battle royal. And it shouldn't. It should just be a lot of punch and kick, but I don't get it. The battle royals are so played out. They used to be one of my favorite matches to watch, and now it's just like a tag match, every week you see a battle royal. It's not good. So the other participants in the match: Evil Uno, Dante Martin and Darius Martin, Mark Davis, Action Andretti, Leo Rush, Rocky Romero, The Butcher, Brian Cage, and Lance Archer. Live chat said, let's see what's going on in live chat. Shelton would have been a world championship contender if he was 10 years younger. Still a great wrestler. I don't know. It's like I've said previously, people are becoming stars into their 40s. Like, look at Cody Rhodes. I don't think it's too late for Shelton. He said, yeah, I'm over a month behind on both WWE and AEW, but AEW seems to be treating Shelton Benjamin as more of a major obstacle / sort of monster heel better than WWE has. And then T-Bag said, Shelton has been such a waste, so underrated. So some good comments about Shelton there. Back in the day, wasn't Shelton having a real fight with Brock Lesnar in an airplane? No, that was Kurt Hennig. That was on the plane ride from hell. No, I like the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble actually means something. And it's different too, because it's not a battle royal. The Royal Rumble is very different. The Royal Rumble is you start with 2, and then every 90 seconds in cat minutes, because that's WWE never actually follows the 90-second rule, a new person comes out. So it's not a regular battle royal. So Royal Rumble doesn't count. Yeah, no, it was Kurt Hennig, because Kurt had been talking shit to Brock. And so then they wrestled and fell into the emergency exit. No, what you're thinking of is, Shelton and Brock are buddies. They were roommates in college. They were college roommates. So yes, they were very much close friends. But great call out. All right, we had Swerve Strickland over Max Caster. We had Jay White over Pac with Wheeler Yuta in his corner. The bastard Pac. What the fuck happened to Pac? He was the man that gravity forgot in WWE, and so impressive. I loved watching his matches in WWE. Then he left. He became the bastard Pac, and he just kind of fizzled off into nothingness. I don't get it. That's an even bigger waste of talent than Shelton. But I think Pac had some personal issues also. At least that's what I'm assuming. That's what I heard. That's what I've heard. He's a guy now, sad. What are you talking about? Tony, tell me what you mean by that. We had Anna Jay over Penelope Ford. And then Claudio Castagnoli over Brody King in a Gold League match for the Continental Classic. That was your AEW Dynamite for Wednesday. So some funny AEW notes before we move on to to SmackDown. So there's a pissing match going on between Eric Bischoff and Tony Khan. And Eric has been anti-AEW for a while. But most recently, he referred to WWE or AEW, excuse me, as, quote, a disappointment and embarrassment amid fan criticism. Let's see what else he wrote. So a fan accused him of being obsessed with AEW. He delivered a response. He said, quote, not at all. Like the majority of people who are interested in pro wrestling in general, I couldn't care less about AEW. It's gone from being an exciting new opportunity to a promotion that was expanding yet going through growing pains to a disappointment and now an embarrassment to the genre. Adding, quote, I probably do get too much enjoyment out of fucking with the IWC and the dirt sheet cage match nerds than I should. It's a never-ending journey into the depths of a delusional, bizarre subculture. Just when you think you've arrived at the bottom, you realize Clueless has a basement. So real clever response from Eric Bischoff. Tony Khan responded because he just can't help himself. He can't help himself. See, say what you will about Vince McMahon, but Vince McMahon shut the fuck up on social media. You could say what you wanted about him and he would no sell it and just continue to. It was like the rest of the universe didn't exist. But Tony Khan has to respond. He has to. And he was asked in an interview about the antagonist relationship between himself and Bischoff. And Tony's response, quote, I have no idea. I really don't care what he says. We have done really, really well. Not just really well. AEW's done really, really well, for the record. I want to get the quote right. Not just really well, really, really well. And we have a great thing going with AEW and something to be really proud of. We're not only, for years to come, be doing shows on TBS and TNT, but we're going to set the record for the longest run of pro wrestling ever on TNT. It's pretty amazing because for a company only 5 years old, we've accomplished so much. We've set the world record for wrestling ticket sales, and we're just going into this new media rights deal that's historic and hasn't even kicked in yet. Yeah, they're going to be live streaming on Max as well as on TBS. So that's a great point that Tony called out. And it's something that I've been thinking about. And that is because if you look at Nitro, it was on from 95 to 2001. So 5-ish years, maybe 5 and some change. By the way, Eric Bischoff is not wrong. Tony Khan, in some aspects, is not wrong either. Meaning, yes, they are about, he wanted, what Tony Khan wanted to say, but be professional about, was, motherfucker, we are going to be on TNT even longer than you were. So STFU and mind your own goddamn business. That's what Tony was wanted to say, but couldn't. So A wrote in the live chat. Anyone know what they'll be streaming on Max? I think they're going to be streaming Dynamite. Yeah, it says starting January 1 every week you can watch Dynamite still on TBS, but we're going to be live streaming on Max. We're going to have AEW every Wednesday and every Saturday night on Max in addition to TNT. Okay, so it's going to be simulcast. So if you don't have basic cable, but you have Max, you can access AEW, and I think they're also going to have the pay-per-views on there. And I don't know if they're going to do it like ESPN Plus, where you pay a subscription fee and then have to buy the pay-per-view, or if it's just going to be included. If it's included, that would be cool, because I don't know, and you can blame WWE for this, but I can't bring myself to paying $50 to watch a monthly pay-per-view from TNA or AEW. I just can't. I can't bring myself to it. So AEW, and in my opinion, TNA has done a little bit of work because they have their subscription service, but it's a little pricey. It's like $50 a month, but you get a bunch of extra stuff. You don't just get the event, but there needs to be something competitive to Peacock in terms of offering the monthly pay-per-views from AEW. I think that they need to do that. They need to get into smaller venues, and they need to figure that out to grow their audience. Let's take a look at the live chat. Mohammed says Tony Khan has responded back to Eric Bischoff by saying, "Really? Yeah, that's what I just said." But thank you. Hey, all right. Dang, RIP cable. I still have cable. I have my Xfinity. I got my 2 gigabit internet, and I get a bunch of channels, and I have streaming that's bundled with my cable TV. And the reason why I do that is because if I didn't do it this way, I'd be nickeling and diming myself half to death with streaming services trying to get all the programs that I like to watch. A says, hopefully it's included. I'm not holding my breath. I think they're still going to charge an extra fee of between $40 and $60 a month, which is dumb. Cigar Hound Dog. Noah, always happy to see you back at it. What's up, Cigar? Awesome. Tony wrote in the live chat, Tony Khan has a special announcement, and then sound like he did a line before grabbing a mic. Oh my gosh, that guy. I've long hypothesized, along with much of the internet, that Tony Khan is a cokehead. The guy's got way too much energy in those beady eyes. When I look Tony Khan in the eye, he reminds me this is gonna date me and nerd me at the same time. If any of you watch like Deep Space Nine or Star Trek: The Next Generation, Tony Khan's got like those Gowron eyes. Teabag, by the way, where is Interstate Kyle? Miss that guy. I think he's too busy following that other channel, if you know what I mean. That other channel. Shh. Interstate Kyle showed up to my first live stream back, I believe, but I could be wrong. A said, especially those beady eyes. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Did I miss something in the live chat here? Oh, Tony wrote 100% with Bischoff there. The product has fallen on some really bad times lately. The wrestling is great, but Tony McMahon, Khan, is an egomaniac about his product. Now, he's turned into a mini Vince. But the difference is he can't keep his fucking mouth shut. Mohammed said, I wouldn't say a word, Noah. Your secret is safe with me. He's loyal. I know he's probably a nice guy behind the scenes, but God, he comes off like a total fanboy that has the money to run a promotion however he chooses to. That's literally exactly what he is. He is a mark. He is a money mark. He's even been called that by people in the industry. He's a money mark. He went to his daddy and said, you know those wrestling action figures you bought me as a kid? Can you buy me the real wrestlers? And instead of a little toy wrestling ring, give me a real wrestling ring and a TV rights deal, and we're going to go on tour. Oh, boy. But as for Eric Bischoff, although he has a point, I do sense a hint of jealousy. A hint, just a teeny tiny hint of jealousy. Because Tony Khan successfully did what Eric tried to do when just before WCW was sold to Vince. Eric got a consortium of business partners to try to buy WCW and then maintain the TV rights deal and then run it as an independent company, still being aired on TNT. But Jamie Kellner, who just recently kicked the bucket, canceled WCW, and that made WCW effectively worthless. And then McMahon swooped in and bought it at basically a going out of business sale. Got sold at a discount. So literally, Tony Khan's business model is literally what Eric Bischoff tried to do. So perhaps a bit of jealousy. No, Tony. I'm talking about WCW just before it was sold to WWE. 2000, mid to late 2000 to early 2001 WCW. And from a storyline perspective, very comparable to the quality of AEW today. The difference, though, is there were many more mainstream names still in WCW in 2001 than there are in AEW. And AEW still has not lived down the fact that they had their biggest star in the history of the company was CM Punk. They fired him. They thought they were going to replace him with Adam Copeland. And Adam Copeland is well over the age of 50 now, and he's made out of glass. And if you look at him, he's going to break bones. He's going to break his leg. He's going to break his arm. He's going to break his neck, or he's going to tear something. Love Adam Copeland. I was actually at the AEW Dynamite taping when Christian Cage told Adam Copeland to go fuck himself the week after he debuted. That was the only good part of that show, and I feel bad. So here's a funny little AEW story. I've been to 2 AEW events. The last one was the most recent one they did in Stockton, California. The Stockton Arena is a fucking toilet, by the way. Fucking toilet. And I was sick as a dog, but I didn't want to miss out. And so I very selfishly went to the event anyway. And then yada, 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 a day later, I tested positive for COVID. So I feel like a total D-bag for that. But that was literally the most miserable that I've ever been at a wrestling event, because the Stockton Arena is a toilet. The staff there are all fucking assholes, and that's from my personal experience. The show was mediocre. The only reason to even be there was to hear Christian Cage tell Adam Copeland to go fuck himself. But yeah, my point is that it's comparable, but AEW don't got any stars, and it's a shame. And I don't see it improving until they need to do a few things. They need to get into the smaller buildings. Okay. They need to sign some stars, a couple of stars, big stars. Then they need to bring in some real wrestling minds to fucking run that big bowl of fruits and nuts. Like, how about what's his name that used to run TNA that got fired by Anthem? Who was that? That was Scott D'Amore. Then he tried to buy TNA and they basically told him to piss up a rope. I would love to see Scott get put in charge of AEW. But they need to do something. And this whole, like, Tony Khan's inner circle of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and just these people that feed him a bunch of bullshit because they want to do their backyard indie bullshit. And Tony Khan believes them because he wants to be friends with everyone. He didn't want to lose his friends. Very bad for business, by the way. But they need some wrestling writers. AEW must buy big names like Randy Orton. You know, that would be all well and good, but those guys are loyal dogs. The guys like Randy Orton ain't going nowhere. They're staying with WWE till the wheels fall off. And that's because Randy Orton has probably one of the most comfortable deals in WWE. He has no pressure on him. Okay? He doesn't need to be WWE champion or world champion. And in fact, if you put the belt on him, that's more pressure on him than he needs. He has a very limited schedule. You hardly see the guy, and he makes what, $3-4 million a year? Guaranteed? Fucking A. Who would want to leave that? He's living the good life. So I don't have an answer, but they need to get some stars. They need to figure something out. And right now, TBS doesn't really give a shit because AEW, relative to its other programming, they do a decent number. It's cheap, new original content that's exclusive to Warner, Discovery, Warner Discovery, whatever the fuck it is. And they're good with it. They good for it. Matt Helms, everybody hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. You guys want it? Let's have a dance session, shall we? Why don't we get that theme song going again? Let's get everyone going. Invite your friends. Yeah. Yeah.
Wrestling news drama, it's all here. Tune in now, cause Noah's bringing the crew. From the ring to the screen,
bring everyone
he's
in.
got the scoop, breaking
Tell
down
your friends I'm live.
Raw, the crew. SmackDown, AEW, the top spots to be. Noah Mania is the name, and the future you'll see. Hollywood buzz and the drama that's real. Noah's on fire and you'll feel the appeal. From the ring to the screen, he's got the scoop, breaking down WWE, Raw, the crew. SmackDown, AEW, the top spots to be. Noah Mania is the name, and the future you'll see. Hollywood buzz and the drama that's real. Noah's on fire and you'll feel the appeal. Podcast, YouTube, where the stories unfold. He's got the content and it's pure gold.
All right, I'm just fucking around with you guys. Let's go on a live chat. Randy Orton is WWE lifer. Same goes with John Cena. Yeah, and John Cena's on his way out. Maybe The Miz as well. You know who actually, you'd have a better shot getting a Brock Lesnar to jump ship than you would a Randy Orton. But at the same time, it won't happen because who's Brock Lesnar friends with? Well, he's friends with Paul Heyman. Who else is Paul Heyman friends with? Well, he's also friends with CM Punk. So CM Punk, I'm sure Paul Heyman is well aware of CM Punk's experience in AEW, and he's probably already advised Brock, hey, even if they roll out the Brinks truck for you, don't fucking do it. It's a bunch of, like, I could see Brock just getting enraged very quickly backstage, even though they have it, I still think they have a better chance of signing Brock than anyone else because Brock does go where the money is, but I could see him very quickly getting enraged backstage, and Tony Khan would have to make another press conference statement saying that he's never been so scared at a wrestling show in his life when Brock Lesnar beats the shit out of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega all at the same time. What's in live chat? Tony said, plus this is Vince out of touch running the show. It's Triple H who will look after the wrestlers' health and better storylines. AEW is a throw this match and they expect it to always hit. Yeah, like the Battle Royals, the constant. Feels like they do a Battle Royal every damn week. Every week. Battle Royal, Battle Royal, Battle Royal. Always a Battle Royal. Brock would actually be a great locker room leader for AEW and would keep the roster in check. No, he wouldn't keep the roster in check. He'd get there and he'd beat the shit out of the whole locker room. Like literally, I would see him losing his temper on day number 1. He would lose his temper and kill everyone backstage. It would not be pretty. All right. I've had enough of talking about AEW. All right. Let's see what is going on. What else? Let's talk about SmackDown from last night. Shall we? Let's talk about SmackDown. Oh, I can't say that out loud, Teabag. But I see. Allegedly, he will say that. Allegedly. Probably not, though. We don't want to cast any aspersions on anyone. Just saying. One-off match in AEW, nothing long-term. Yeah, it would be a one-off because he'd get pissed off and leave. He'd leave. He'd bounce. He'd buckle and bounce. All right, let's talk SmackDown. So SmackDown yesterday was pretty good. I actually enjoyed SmackDown. It opened up with a promo. Chad Gable came out and challenged Cody Rhodes. And then fucking Cody Rhodes called him Shorty G during the promo. I thought that was hilarious. Chad Gable's a little weenie, in my opinion. And they make him look like a weenie on purpose, which is quite sad because he's talented as hell. He's very talented. But they keep making him look like a weenie, either through the Shorty G nicknames or through these dumb stables where he tries to act like a coach. Couldn't even coach a T-ball game, I'm sure. But it was fun to see the two of them in the ring talking shit to each other. I think Cody Rhodes was like kind of hinting. It's like, yeah, Shorty G versus Stardust. Even got a Stardust reference in there. Cute little start to the show, though. Cute little start to the show. All right, up next we had the win. I get so annoyed every time I have to talk about the women's mid-card belts that are being introduced in WWE. So annoyed with it. You got the Women's Intercontinental Championship. You got the Women's U.S. Championship. Women's Tag Title. I get it. They're trying to give women equal airtime, but the unintended consequence is there's so many damn titles in WWE. They are participation trophies now. I do not agree with that move, Paul Levesque. Don't agree with it. So this was the tournament for the women's U.S. title. So it was Naomi and Elektra Lopez and Tiffany Stratton. I think it was a women's triple threat. Correct me if I'm wrong, live chat. Tiffany Stratton over Naomi and Elektra. She picked up the win in her hometown. It was actually a pretty decent match. I did notice, because it is her hometown. Let's talk about her ring gear for a second. Firstly, I noticed she was dressing a little bit more modestly than she normally does. Normally you can see the top of the pasties because that's how her gear usually is, but I noticed she was dressing a lot more modestly because probably her family was in the crowd, so good move there. And she was wearing, I don't know, was she trying to dress like a Vikings cheerleader? Because she was wearing Minnesota Vikings colors. But she actually hit a couple of high spots during this match that actually made her look like a pretty damn good wrestler. So I got to give her props on this match. It was a good match. It was wisely placed in the card as a curtain puller. Hate to say it, but it's what it was. But it was, I'm okay with it. Miss Money in the Bank, Tiffany Stratton. And she also appeared during NXT tonight. Okay, let's circle back to NXT just for 1 second. There was a backstage vignette where she walked up on Ava Raine, the daughter of The Rock, and was like, it might be Tiffy time at NXT New Year's Evil. And so is the next one after that going to be NXT Indeed? I don't know. But implying she might waste her money in the bank on the NXT Women's Championship. At the same time, it just goes to elevate NXT is just a third brand at this point. But that... okay, you guys are going to say I'm a dick. Maybe I am. But I can't stand these vignettes with Ava Raine is the GM of NXT. And by the way, everyone knows it's Shawn Michaels running the show, so why don't they just have him play the on-screen leadership character at this point? Why even have her? Well, we know why, because her old man is The Rock, and he's on the board of directors for TKO. That's just the ultimate nepotism hire right there. She is not at all talented. And she, by the way, she quit wrestling. She was originally trained to wrestle, but now she just wants to be an on-screen personality. Well, yeah, she gets paid probably an okay amount of money to not really have to do shit, except say a couple of lines with her really bad speech impediment. I know I got room to talk, but she's got an awful speech impediment. Like, it's worse than Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes has a pretty good lisp on him. But no, I cannot stand The Rock's daughter. I'm sure she's very nice, so I'm not trying to decimate her as a human being, but on screen, doesn't do it for me. They rushed her on TV. In a perfect world, we would get Regal back in NXT. Just have Shawn Michaels. Even have him go by his real name. Just say he's Michael Hickenbottom, the chief content officer of NXT. Michael Hickenbottom. I do say they list him as one of the executive producers at the end of NXT, but they use his ring name, Shawn Michaels, which is kind of weird. You had Paul Levesque, Shawn Michaels, and that other dude. They should call him Michael Hickenbottom. I would support that. All right. Up next, we had Bianca Belair over Piper Niven. And that splash that she gave Chelsea Green during that match was fucking Hilarious. It was very, very funny to me. I don't know. Something just really grinds my gears about Piper Niven. I can't put my finger on it. Now, something definitely grinds my gears about Bianca Belair, and I know she's beloved and she's talented, but someone grinds. I think it's just the long fake hair that she waves around, does that stupid entrance. I would love just during one of her matches, it would be hilarious to me as like a heel move, as like a dirty heel move to rip out her hair extensions. Because that is an insult to a woman, is to rip out her hair extensions. I would love to see that as a heel wrestling maneuver with Bianca Belair. So there was no babyface in this match as far as I was concerned, but it was funny seeing Bianca Belair use Piper Niven as a weapon to just completely plaster Chelsea Green during the match. Talkman T, Piper Niven is really good. The dewdrop crap really set her back. No, that was Vince McMahon. I could totally can't you just, with your mind's eye, can't you just see and with your mind's ears hear the backstage meeting with Vince McMahon and Piper? Your new name is going to be Dewdrop, because when you walked in here, you reminded me of a dewdrop. Because that's just how Vince McMahon was, very misogynistic and disrespectful. It's sickening. Sickening. All right, we had a backstage, or an in-ring promo up next. LA Knight came out, demanded a rematch with Shinsuke Nakamura. And it was actually set to be a pretty cool promo, but then they fucked it up by having the Bloodline do a run-in and attack LA Knight and Andrade. And then since Shinsuke is a heel, he kind of backed out of it and left. But he was getting ready to spit the mist. He had it all up in his mouth. Yeah, it was going to be it could have been a really good segment. They didn't need to do that just to make the Bloodline look pissed off after losing at Survivor Series. Next match was the WWE Tag Team Championship match. It was the Motor City Machine Guns defending against DIY, who were the fill-in team. And DIY turned heel and defeated the Motor City Machine Guns. And effectively, in my opinion, they buried the Motor City Machine Guns. It was not time to take the belts off of them. They had just made their debut in WWE, won the titles. They were going to hit the ground running. Still really weird to me to hear the Motor City Machine Guns on WWE programming, hear them saying their names. But this was a really poor decision. Nothing against DIY. Nothing against Ciampa. Nothing against Gargano. Great talents, but I think Motor City Machine Guns deserve to at least hold on to them until the Rumble. But instead, they threw it away on free TV and had Motor City Machine Guns drop the belts for free. And really, it's a shame that they did that to them. So I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that. That was a move I completely disagree with. I'm parched. I have cotton mouth. Wonder if April's in the live chat. She knows what I mean. In main event, Cody Rhodes, of course, defeated Chad Gable. And then Kevin Owens managed to get into the arena. And then they did the bit, taking the boot off of him. I'd show a clip because that was pretty funny, but I don't want my my video to get flagged by Content ID again. Good Lord, that pissed me off. That Content ID bullshit. I talked about it a little bit. Let me remind you guys. So a couple of weeks ago, let me find what the date was on that. So I showed a clip without audio, mind you. It was just a short 15-second clip of it was the November 25th Tuesday show. I showed a clip of Raw and I was talking about it. I was talking about something, so it was all completely fair use. I was within my rights to use that content and transform it, but Content ID immediately caught it, and it said that the video was getting blocked in certain countries, not the United States. But what the fine print didn't say, which I kind of already knew about this, was it also buries the video and doesn't recommend it to anyone. Because, and full disclosure, I know I don't have any audience right now. I get it. 70 to 100 people a video is not a large audience in the scheme of YouTube. But let's just put in perspective. On average, since I've come back, I've done about 70 to 100 views. So because of this bullshit Content ID crap from YouTube, it caused my audience to get halved as a result of that. So the November 25th video, or maybe it was on November 26th I released it, it got 35 views. 35 views rather than my usual 70 to 100. So that just, and you could challenge it, but seeing as how my channel's not even monetized and I don't have an audience, I didn't even want to bother with it. But now my video's not even getting out there as a result, so I'm gonna have to. And I'll win, but then they put really threatening language in there saying you could be subject to legal action if it's a false if I file a false claim. But there's no recourse against these other content owners they're making these false claims against videos. They get away with it. But if you challenge it, oh, you're subject to blah, blah, blah legally. Only the top 1% of YouTubers get away with it because the system is rigged to favor them. Brian Duff, holy shit. Holy shit, Brian Duff. How I've missed you. Clogging! Yo! I'm so excited to have you guys here. So excited. Yeah, the system's fucking rigged for the top 1% of YouTubers. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And meanwhile, the guys like Mr. Beast have their own problems, but they still are at the top of the mountain. Still at the top of the mountain. But then there's guys, who was that guy that switched to the, yeah, thanks, Brian. There was a YouTuber, a streamer that switched. Who was that? He switched to, I think it was Kick. It was that super conservative, like pro-Trump streaming service. Who was that? Dr. Disrespect. Oh, it's Rumble. He was switching to Rumble. So apparently he got banned from Twitch for his shtick. And then YouTube was like, ooh, he got banned from Twitch. Well, we're gonna demonetize his whole YouTube channel. So Rumble offered to pick him up. And the whole motivation behind this is advertisers. So mainstream advertisers don't want to run ads on controversial videos on YouTube. But Rumble is a streaming service that prides itself on being counter cancel culture. They don't let people get canceled for having an opinion. But I was curious. I'm like, I have a feeling I know what kind of advertisers would run on this platform. And sure enough, I clicked on one of Dr. Disrespect's videos. And by the way, you have to watch like 3 non-skippable ads every time you fast forward a video on Rumble. But the first ad that came up was for one of those, apocalypse survival buckets that they usually advertise on Fox News after the gold commercials, the gold coin commercials. Yeah, so the first commercial that came up for Dr. Disrespect was to buy those apocalypse survival buckets. By the way, does Dr. Disrespect wear a wig? Is that a mullet wig that he wears? Talkman T says that he's an asshat and says he also has a history with his outside stuff. Aw, we missed you and we're glad that you're back. I think that's referring to me. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm back for good. I've been back for a month now and I love it. And I'm going to keep doing this shit for fun because it's fun to me. All right. Do we have any other wrestling news? I think we do. Oh, this is interesting. So New Day. So there was some news that came about New Day. I guess plans changed. And it was originally, the original plan for the New Day was Odyssey Jones was going to be the permanent replacement for Big E. And the group was going to turn heel after excommunicating Big E. But Odyssey Jones obviously got fired from the company and that didn't happen. So they just went this route instead, which I'm happy that they did this instead. Odyssey Jones, it didn't really fit in my opinion, as seamlessly. One person I think would have been a good fourth member of the New Day, and I'd actually talked about it several years ago, was Mace. So if you guys recall, Mace was on an episode of The Scoop back in 2015, 2016. This was when he was still training at Booker T's school. This was before WWE signed him. And I always thought that because Mace is really passionate about anime culture and video games, he loves that shit, loves it. So I could see him like develop, and they're probably friends already, but having a really good friendship with Austin Creed. And so I would have loved to have seen Mace be a fourth member of the New Day. I think he would have fit in well, but instead they paired him up with Mansoor and did that weird, I don't know, not quite Billy and Chuck type angle, but is what it is. I can't say anything bad about Brennan. He's fucking awesome. I still love and appreciate the fact that he did an interview on my show, and yeah, he didn't have to do that. Brian Duff, Ebar versus Noah Mania. What are you talking about? Ebar was on the show last week. Oh, good, Claw. I talk about everything. This isn't, for the record, this is not a wrestling podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about what's on my mind, and wrestling is one of those things that are on my mind. All right. What else? All right. Raw and SmackDown in 2025, they're going to be both 3 hours long. And Meltzer threw in his 2 cents on it, particularly around SmackDown. The working idea is both shows will be 3 hours. It would make sense if USA wanted a third hour of wrestling on its network, but how much it'll cost them won't be known until the deal is announced. And this is from Wrestling Inc. that I got this article. Right now, SmackDown's averaging around 533,000 viewers in prime time, 2 hours. But without wrestling, USA's primetime audience falls to 299,000. So WWE is a significant portion of USA Network's audience, which we knew because USA is primarily reruns of programs. When the network loses Raw in January and keeps SmackDown, it puts viewership at 417,000. And then Meltzer said that adding a third hour would bring viewership to around 467,000. But how does he know that? Where is this just a guesstimation, or are you averaging things? How does he know this? But the one thing that was said in this article that was logical, moving SmackDown to 3 hours is a low risk, high reward situation. Production costs for the first third hour are low, and the company's accustomed to doing 3 hour shows. And I agree, it would be a low cost to add a third hour because WWE is already doing 3 hour long live events during Raw and SmackDown. The show, although the show is 2 hours long, the live crowd typically gets one or two more dark matches after. Now, for those dark matches, they don't film them. They literally start dismantling the TV crews like while the match is in the ring. But it probably wouldn't cost much to leave the crews running, and USA would probably pick up the bill because by the sound of things, they want the viewers. But I'm curious where Meltzer got his numbers from. I'm going to go out on a limb and say to a certain degree those estimations are bullshit. But we'll have to wait and see. Brian Duff says, I trying to be funny. I trying be funny. I trying be funny. I can appreciate that. I try be funny also. I try be funny and be fail every time. What other news we got going on? Oh, this was interesting. According to JBL recently said that Vince McMahon loved when things went wrong. And he pointed out that he feels that Vince loved when things went wrong because then there was something that Vince could fix. He took it as a personal challenge. But he also brought up the infamous Royal Rumble incident when Vince tore both of his quads. This was back in 2005. And apparently JBL was backstage. I've heard different accounts of the story, by the way. But according to JBL, when Vince came backstage, he either collapsed or had to sit down, and he literally said, if anybody looks at me, I'll fire you. I completely believe JBL is telling the 100% honest, accurate truth of what happened down to a T. That is exactly what happened. Vince was such a weird person that he wanted people to look at him like you. That's why Vince did the bodybuilding bullshit for the last 30 plus years. The reason behind it was he wanted to look, this is literally true, he's even admitted this, he wanted to look like a tough guy in front of the boys because he didn't want there to be a perception that one of the boys could beat up Vince or literally strong arm him. So he wanted to look like a big buff juiced up roid rage motherfucker like we all know Vince to be. And that's why when Vince tore his quads, he sat down on his big fat ass, put his legs out straight, and sat there with his hands on his hips and no-sold the injuries, even though they must have been excruciating. And because he didn't want people to see him hurt. He's like a cat. A weird cat, a sexually depraved cat. And then when he went to leave the ring, they wanted to take him out on a stretcher or a wheelchair. Of course, he said, no fucking way. And so he had to have a couple of guys help him walk to the back, even though I'm sure that did much more harm to his legs than good. Brian, I invited the whole crew to be on, but unfortunately, they were unavailable. So, Sinclair, are you saying I don't entertain you just by myself? I'm entertaining. Damn it. I don't need Mike and Ebar to make me entertaining. I'm charismatic. I'm more charismatic than some people. I won't name any names, but there's some pretty bad wrestling YouTubers out there. I'm not naming any names, though. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, but JBL's no angel, but absolutely right. Absolutely right. All right. Last thing that I want to talk about, then I'm going to call it quits, is the big news of the week. Of course, is the tragedy, I guess you could call it, around the CEO of United Healthcare. There was an incident in New York City that you're all aware of through the news, and he is no longer with us, and they have not caught the suspect. I do have to say, though, that if this was just some regular average Joe, I feel like investigators wouldn't put nearly the resources into it that they are for this guy. It just goes to show that money talks. Money and power talk. If it was me that got dropped on the sidewalk outside my hotel in New York, yeah, there'd be police opening up an investigation, but I don't see the FBI getting involved and doing some big interstate search and doing that like a forensic analysis of every step this guy took and where he bought his hoodie from. But one funny aspect is he was wearing a face mask, but he's apparently a shameless flirt because he took his face mask off to flirt with some bitch. So his face got caught on a security camera. So everyone knows what he looks like. And he fled New York. But I do have to say, and the result of it now is all of a sudden everyone's talking about how much they hate health insurance, how United Healthcare has the most amount of denials of any insurance company. And it's got people enraged about it and almost shown like there's almost a hero worship of the assassin that took out the CEO of United Healthcare. Like he's a hero. I've seen a lot of posts. Some heroes don't wear capes. Now, I got to point something out to each of you. I am not going to celebrate the death of the CEO of United Healthcare. And I'll tell you why. Number one, it makes you a pretty shitty person to be happy or making jokes like, oh, ha, ha, ha. He died because the claim was denied because death is a pre-existing condition. Ha, ha, ha. It makes you a pretty shitty person to celebrate someone's death. And that's why I wouldn't even celebrate as a liberal, I would not celebrate what happened to Trump at the campaign rally. And I would not have been happy had he not survived, even though I completely hate the guy. I don't wish that upon him. And in that case, if the person would have been successful in taking out Trump, I think it would have been worse because if you saw how his idiot supporters reacted over just losing an election. They practically tore the U.S. Capitol to the ground as a result. Good Lord, could you imagine if he hadn't survived? His supporters would have gone batshit insane. It would have been World War III. But anyway, I digress. Makes you a pretty shitty person if you celebrate the death of the CEO of United Healthcare. Also, the other thing that I want to point out is the problem is you have a for-profit industry that does not exist to help you and I. It exists to make a profit. And it's ran by billionaires, billionaire assholes. And they got to be billionaires because they're assholes. And if you just take out one billionaire asshole, what's going to happen? Nothing. No change is going to be imparted on an industry because of the death of this guy. They're going to replace him with another rich asshole to continue his work. It's not going to change jack shit. Especially, just look at the incoming administration. They're all billionaire assholes. There's plenty of billionaire assholes to go around. Taking out one of them is not going to change a goddamn thing. But let's see what the live chat thinks. Will you be able to make another interview with someone in the wrestling industry? That comes from Teabag. I would love to. Unfortunately, typically people get interviewed because it will help them. They're not looking to help the person doing the interview. And at this point, I have nothing I could offer a celebrity or a wrestler. They would just be doing it to do me a favor. And what incentive do they have to do that? They don't. They have no incentive. Therefore, I don't see myself interviewing anyone anytime soon, at least until my audience, it would need to multiply by about 100. And then I could start reaching out to people and interviewing. But how you guys can help, if you want to see me mix it up with some dignitaries, wrestlers, personalities on this show, then get your friends to like, subscribe, watch my videos, promote the show, do what you can to get my name out there. Help me out. Help me out. Watch every show. Tell your friends. Then my audience will grow. And then at that point, I can look at doing interviews. All right, let's see. What else is in the live chat? Noah, do you like AEW or TNA? Which better in your opinion? That was from Brian Duff. TNA is better than AEW, hands down, from just the size of the buildings they work in. So I've said this before, having a narrow camera angle in a giant arena with a small crowd is not going to look good. It's still going to be low energy. If you have a packed small venue where everyone's excited, everyone's up close to the ring, you get a really wide angle view of the building, and it will make it look bigger than it actually is, and it'll make it look lively and energetic. TNA does it right. TNA also, in my opinion, has more stars than AEW does. You do not have anyone in AEW getting a reaction like a Joe Hendry, Nick Nemeth. You don't. Talkman T, yeah, I heard that's absolutely crazy. People are celebrating a death and karma is a B. You are right. Teabag, what happened to Trump was staged? Oh, dude, shut up. I love you, man, but no. It's just like, oh, the election in 2020 was rigged and we don't accept it, blah, 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 blah. But Trump wins in 2024. All of a sudden, it's a completely high integrity election that was real. So it's only fake if we don't agree with the outcome. Was a huge Trump supporter before, but now I see everybody in the circus. Yeah, no, what happened to Trump was not staged, though. It was real. Claw Gang, I want to see you talk about things that are going on in the world. Like, what are your thoughts on the Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I'm assuming this chat came in before I started. Mike Nagel can try to contact Goldberg again for an interview. Mohammed, any thoughts on CM Punk and Ryan Nemeth situation? Okay, I heard about that. So what's being alleged is Nick's brother Ryan, who was under contract in AEW while CM Punk was there, alleged that he was bullied by CM Punk, and he tried complaining through the corporate channels of AEW and was shot down. Am I getting the gist of it, Muhammad? I think that's the gist of it. And it turned into a whole thing, and Ryan finally got fired and for raising a stink about it. And I think there might have been an NDA involved, and he couldn't say anything. And that's the gist of it. And here's the deal. I'm going to look at it from both sides. One, could I see CM Punk being a bully backstage? Yes, I could, because there's a lot of stories that magically align. And even Mike's story that he told on the show a week ago about how CM Punk was not nice to him backstage at TNA when they were back in Nashville in the early days. It all adds up. CM Punk is a weird character. CM Punk blocked me on Twitter because I made a video praising him. I praised him in a video. I was a huge fan of his, and he blocked me on Twitter. He's just a weird guy in that regard. And I don't know. I could see him being a bully. I could see Ryan Nemeth having a point. Now, to look at it from the other side of the coin, wrestlers are built differently these days. They got a lot of great qualities. There's a lot of talent of all shapes and sizes and genders. And you see a lot of really talented people. But if these people were to jump in the business 30 years ago and they were to raise a stink to the office over some hazing backstage, number one, the hazing would have gotten worse. Number two, nothing would have happened. And number three, you would have gotten ran out of business and nobody would have hired you ever again. I'm not saying that that's right, but I'm saying that that's how it factually is. And CM Punk, he came up right on the cusp of when that generation was dying off, but he still saw that generation. And that's the generation he grew up with, and to a certain degree probably emulated it. So it's a generational thing where you're going to have wrestlers that are more inclined to be whistleblowers than you were many, many years ago. I hope that answers your question, Muhammad. Clogging Dolph Ziggler humped Amy Schumer. And also, you can't forget Sonny, Tammy Sitch. He once flew across the country with the flu. He was sick and got on a plane and flew across the country so he could hook up with Tammy. How foul is that? When she went to jail before she was convicted and everything and went to prison for, I think she's in for 17 years. But before then, I relentlessly tweeted Nick Nemeth and just tormented him. So have you put any money on Tammy's books lately? I was actually trying to get Nick to block me, because that would have amused me. I literally kept relentlessly asking him, have you put any money on her books? Are you flying down to have a conjugal visit with her? Clogging AEW's trash. Every time they start their show with a match, I flip the channel. They need Vince Russo, LMAO. No. Vince Russo's an idiot. He'd make it worse. Hey! Like my Undertaker said, wrestlers are softer nowadays. Hey! Yeah, Undertaker is one of those guys. It's kind of the same thing with, I'm putting Mark Calloway in the same bucket as Glenn Jacobs. I don't like Mark Calloway. I don't like Glenn Jacobs. I love The Undertaker. I love Kane. But at the same time, I do got to give Mark Calloway his props because he did not have to roll down his window of his car and talk to me in the empty parking lot of the UC Davis Rec Hall back in 2002. It was a really, like, imagine being 16 years old and so let me paint a picture. UC Davis, their basketball gym, the University of California, Davis, is just a small little gym. It can seat maybe 4,000 people. And it's like bleacher style. WWE ran a house show there in 2002, and it was a stacked crowd. It had like Triple H, Undertaker, Jericho. Pretty much everyone except for Rock and Austin were on that show. And the wrestlers and the fans had to go in the same entrance. And so in the same parking lot. So I got there super early. I was like, it was 2002, so I would have been 86, 96. I was 15 years old at the time. Met a ton of wrestlers there, got some autographs. But early in the day, I was there and just walking around the parking lot. I wasn't really, I wanted to meet wrestlers. That's why I got there early, but I wasn't like immediately looking for anyone. A car rolls up, pulls up right next to me. The fucking window rolls down, and it's the goddamn Undertaker in the driver's seat. And I got a photo with the Undertaker and an autograph. And this was so cool because 15-year-old me got to get the Undertaker to break character in the prime of his career. And he rolls down his window and he says to me, he says, "God damn, do the fans and the wrestlers go in the same entrance?" And I was like, I think so. It's cool if I get a picture with you. And he was like, "Yeah, sure. Let me go park." And of course he couldn't make it into the building without signing like 20 autographs. And he was so nice to everybody. He did not big league anyone. And it was awesome. So I can't hate on him. And I actually watched the recent interview, the 6 Feet Under he did with Hornswoggle. Just Undertaker is one of those guys that I have to love, but I can't talk politics with because I don't agree with him. And it comforts me to be okay being a fan of Undertaker because Mick Foley still considers himself Mark Calloway's friend, despite the massive canyon and political differences between the two of them. Mick Foley is about as liberal as you can get, and Undertaker is the exact opposite. And they still manage to have a friendship, which is real cool, in my opinion, where other people in the wrestling business wouldn't. Like fucking Jim Cornette. He used to be really close with Glenn Jacobs. Now he hates his guts because he's a conservative. And I love Jim. Jim's awesome. But just some people can't separate the two, unfortunately. It's hard for me to at times. I'll be honest. I will be honest. What else in the live chat? Oh, yeah. A said he remembers the story. You can't dislike the guy after that. You're right. You're right. All right. Well, I've been on for almost 2 hours. It's after 1 a.m. on the East Coast. So I think I am going to call it a day. I think it's time. Love this tune. I have official social media now. For those of you that don't know, I have an official Facebook page. It's facebook.com/realnoamania. Like the page, follow it. I post on there often. Also, I'm on Twitch, x.com/realnoamania. Like, subscribe, share out this YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoahMania. Hey, Teabag, Tony, Mohammed, Claw, April, Brian. Who else got in the live chat today? I'll bring back the phones if you guys get more people to watch and subscribe. I promise I will. Matt Helms. I'll make it so we can all call in. You have to get people to watch. Good night/morning, everyone. Oh, good night/morning to you too, April. All right, I'll be back next Tuesday. It'll be a taped show next Tuesday. The time will be Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. The show will drop. YouTube.com/NoahMania. All right, till Tuesday. I'm out. See you guys. Have a good night.